So Moses returned to Egypt to talk to the Israelites about being free.
God is going to set all of you free from Pharaoh.
God also sent Moses' brother Aaron along to help him. The Israelites fell right down on their knees and thanked God for remembering them. Then it was time for Moses to go see Pharaoh.
Moses appeared before Pharaoh.
God says, "Let my people go."
Pharaoh was not pleased.
I do not know your God. Why should I obey him? These people have work to do. They cannot leave.
Then Pharaoh made the people work even harder. What a mean man! This made the Israelite leaders angry with Moses. They thought Moses had surely made a big mistake.
You made the king hate us! You made the king hate us!
Go on, go now.
Yeah.
Get back there.
Moses prayed.
Lord, why have you brought this trouble on the people? Is this why you sent me here?
God answered,
You will see what I will do to the king.
Moses, let's go.
God sent Moses and Aaron back to Pharaoh.
Well, look who's come back.
Let God's people go. Do a miracle for me if your God is so great.
Aaron threw down his walking stick, and it became a snake.
Well,
I know how they do this. That's what I want to do.
Pharaoh's magicians threw down their sticks, and they became snakes too. But Aaron's snake swallowed them all. God's power was the strongest. Still, Pharaoh was so evil and his heart was so hard that he said,
No, your people cannot leave.
When God's people left Egypt, they marched out into the desert. God did something very special to help them. He sent a tall cloud to guide them during the day. It was very dark in the desert at night, so God changed the cloud to fire. It was like a giant nightlight. Now God's people could travel, some during the day and some at night. Back in Egypt, Pharaoh had changed his mind about letting God's people leave. He sent his army after the Israelites to bring them back. Closer and closer, the army of horses and chariots came. God's people stood right by the Red Sea. There was no way across the water. Pharaoh's soldiers were behind them, and the sea was in front of them. It looked as if they were trapped. Just then, God moved the tall cloud behind his people to hide them from the enemy. The Egyptians couldn't see anything. The cloud made it dark for them, but it gave light to God's people on the other side of the cloud. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea. All night, God pushed back the sea with a strong wind, and the water split to make a dry path to the other side. The Israelites safely reached the other side, but when the Egyptian army tried to use the same path, the water came back together and covered the soldiers. And that was the end of Pharaoh's army.
God led his people out of Egypt, heading for the Promised Land. He had parted the Red Sea for them, and now they were in the desert. Soon, the people began complaining.
We should have stayed in Egypt. There we had meat and all the food we wanted, but we'll starve to death in this desert.
But God still loved his people. He made sure they had plenty of food and water. He gave them a strange white food called manna. It came from the sky and was very good for them, but still the people whined and complained. Once, God even made water come out of a rock so they would have fresh water to drink. The people were happy to have water, and they stopped whining for a little while. One day, God called Moses up to the top of a mountain to have a talk. God gave Moses many rules to help his people know how to live. God wrote the rules on stone with his finger. We call these rules the 10 Commandments. I am the Lord your God. You must not have any other gods except me. Do not worship or serve any other gods or idols. Do not speak the name of the Lord your God thoughtlessly. Keep the Lord's day holy. Honor your father and your mother. Do not murder anyone. Be true to your husband or wife. Do not steal. Do not tell lies. Do not wish for someone else's things.